I will show you how exactly you can create a Kubernetes cluster via portal. Okay, the same bit we'll try to do it via our Terraform code. Okay, so if you see here, just if you can't find it out Kubernetes service, just at the top, if you see type Kubernetes. Yeah, so if you click on that, you should be able to be logged into this particular Kubernetes service. Okay, this bit you'll get it. Okay, click on create Kubernetes service, and then if you already have a resource group, use that. Otherwise, if you don't have a resource group, you can create it. I will use yesterday's resource group itself. Then choose whichever you want. So for in order to do development purpose, so you can choose dev and test. Okay, so then give a Kubernetes name. Okay, I will say creates demo. So whichever region you want, you can select it out. Go for a free version because it will be cost effective. So choose a manual rather than auto, and choose for a practice purpose, choose 1. Okay, and then go to the next node pool. One agent pool is sufficient for us. We are not building a production grade Kubernetes cluster. Okay, one agent pool for practice purpose should be fine. Okay, so if you go to the next one, local accounts with Kubernetes RBAC for a practice purpose is sufficient. So let us choose as a network configuration Kubernetes itself rather than Azure CNI. If you go further, if you have a container registry, it has been created, right? So you can choose that bit. Currently, we don't have any container registry, so we won't select anything. Okay, so a container registry, it is basically where it is kind of a competitor to our Docker Hub. Okay, it is where we store our images. Okay, so in our example, we will be using our ACR container registry in Azure world is a Azure container registry, which is a competitor to Docker Hub, you can think of. Okay, so select next. Here in this particular resource group name, where exactly all the infrastructure, for example, under the hood Kubernetes, we have a nodes, right? So that node is nothing but it is our virtual machine scale set in case of Azure. Okay, those are all the things that will get created over here. Okay, so the tag, if you wanted to give a tag, you can give it. If not, we can go to the next one. So this will validate. It does Azure will validate all this stuff. So before creating it, so that is a validation check. It's happening. So if you see here, validation is passed. Okay, so if you click on create, it will go and create a Azure Kubernetes cluster for you. Okay, it is the low end Kubernetes cluster. I have chosen it. Okay, it should not cost you much. Okay, so since we are doing it via Terraform, so let us ignore this bit. Okay, I'll click on here, so that I have not created any any Kubernetes cluster. Okay, now in order to how exactly you can code it via our Kubernetes cluster, how you will code via Terraform. Okay, so click here, a new window, just say that Azure Kubernetes, okay, Azure Kubernetes service, which is AKS, okay, and Terraform. Okay, just enter that. Okay, the first one, whichever you are able to see it, choose that bit. Okay, so if you see here, this is the one example Azure has given to us. Okay, so let us use this bit. So copy this bit. Okay, and use this bit. Once you copied it, let us go to our Terraform code. Okay, so here in the sangam.tf, you can code it over here, or what you could do is you can create a new file. Okay, let us take an example of our I will call it as a aks.tf. okay, the naming can be anything, the name of the file, but the extension should be .tf. So that tf stands for a Terraform. Okay, paste this particular file name. Okay, so if you remember, we have created in sangam.tf our resource group name. Okay, so here we wanted to the name of our Kubernetes cluster. So let me say what it is. It's a demo, right? Demo AKS1. I'll keep it as is. So DNS prefix also I will try to keep it as is. Demo AKS should be fine. Okay. So here, second line, we need to mention where exactly our Azure Kubernetes cluster resource, Terraform resource, where exactly it has to be created, which location. Okay. So I wanted it to be same as the our resource group. That is the reason this linking we are doing it. Okay. This linking we are doing it. So we'll copy this first RJ and paste it over here. The same thing, resource group name, we'll pick it like this only. Okay. So if you see, the red color is gone, meaning it has resolved the issue in our in our Terraform code. Okay. So here in the default node pool, whichever the name you wanted to keep it, you can give it. I'll say BA. BA stands for a beginner academy. Okay. Node count 1. Okay. So VM size you can go for a higher end as well as lower end. Okay. So if you wanted to check what all the VM sizes are available, go here while creation itself, right? So it will ask you change the size, right? This is the default size which Kubernetes template shows us. Okay. So if you wanted to reduce the cost, you can go for the B2S, which costs you, if you keep on running it for a month, it will be 34, nearly $35, you could say. Yeah. You select that. It didn't pick it up. Okay. 1 second. Sorry. This is the one, right? So let me select it. It is not picking it up. 1 second. If I select it, if I select P2S, somehow it is not reflecting it. There is some issue with our Azure portal, probably. It is not reflecting at all. So if I select T2 V3, no, it is not reflecting it. There looks like there is a bug is there. Okay. So if I wanted to check what VM size we can do it, the standard one is this one. So if I wanted to change to the different one, what I could do is I will go to copy this, put it in a browser. Okay. So if I put it in a browser, we can go to here. Okay, this is the one for T2 series. Click on the B series. So we wanted very less money, right? So let us go with this but. Okay, which is standard B2S, which costs us 35 pound. Okay, we'll select that and paste it over here. Okay, so node count, we are going for only one count. Okay, so second one is a VM size. Next one is a identity type. This is basically if you wanted to give access to your Kubernetes cluster to some other services, that identity we have enabled it as a system assigned. Okay, here environment, so let us call it as a dev. Okay, so in this way we have configured our Kubernetes cluster. Okay, so let us go and run this particular specific code. Okay, so if we see here, if I do a Terraform plan, let me increase the font. Okay, if I go for a Terraform plan, it should tell us one, either it should error out if there is any error, or it should show us what all the changes it is doing it. Okay, so if you could see here, it says one plan to add. Okay, so if I go back, if you see here, this is our Azure Kubernetes cluster. Okay, let us name it rather than an example. Let us call it as BA AKS. Okay, I'll call it as a BA AKS. So this name is only for the Terraform to understand which resource type it is. Okay, so I will name it as BA. Let me rerun it. If I run the plan again, it should show us our the plan. Okay, so if you see one to add, okay, it's the same one to add. There is nothing else is there. VA case cluster. Okay, so if you could see, we have added only very few stuff, right? But why exactly these many things are coming up? So in Terraform world, how it works out is the minimum required things, that is what we have given it over here. Okay, if you wanted to go against the default setting, okay, then only you need to make the changes. Okay, for example, any configuration you wanted to change it, so during that time you need to go and uh, modify. This is the default value. Okay, for example, I will show you the name and all those things we have given it. So if you see, the type is virtual machine scale set. Ultra SSD has been enabled. So in case, think that you wanted to make it as true, it has to be enabled, Ultra SSDs. Then you go for, by default it is set as false. Okay, if you wanted to make it as true, you can do it. Okay, how you do it? It's basically, if you wanted to do it as instead of true, make it as instead of a false, just say that true. Okay, if I do that, if I rerun my same code, okay, it should be present in a specific block. Second, 1 second. It should be present in the default node pool. Okay, so default node pool is our here, should be present in this place. If you run the Terraform plan, our overriding bit, if you see here, where is our default node pool? Ultra SSD enabled. Now it become a true. So that is what we want to override it. Default was false. Okay. So the scale down mode, basically, if you go for 10 nodes and you wanted it to be your load has been decreased, you wanted to reduce it. In that case, what you could do is what automatically default behavior is, it will delete those virtual machine instances. Okay. So if you don't want it to be deleted, it should be keep running, right? So if you have a EKS cluster where up and down it will happen, right? The load is heavy. So in that cases, you don't want to delete it. You wanted to keep it as running itself. Then you change this scaling mode, scaling down mode. 1 second. Sorry. Let us go back and revert this change. We don't want it. Let it take it from the default. Okay. So now what I will do is I will try to apply this particular bit. I will go and run apply. Okay. Let us see what exactly it does. It should do the same thing. Okay. So we'll say yes. So now it should create our EKS cluster. So it will take couple of seconds. Okay, so if you see, it is still creating. If I go back to our Azure portal, I will go back to here. I do a refresh. You see, it started creating. Okay, so it will take a couple of minutes. Okay, so if you see, it says creating mode. Okay, so now there are few more things are there apart from Kubernetes cluster. Okay, that also we try to we'll try to work on. Okay, so in the background, let it run it. Okay, so it will take another couple of minutes. Okay, so now as we in order to do a build and deployment of any front end, back end, and MySQL database, what all the things, extra things you require is Azure Key Vault and storage as well. Okay, so now what we will do is we will learn about Azure Key Vault as well as we go along. Okay, so how exactly Azure Key Vault has to be added? So the similar concept. Okay, go to our here, just say Google it out, Azure Key Vault. Okay, Terraform. So if you do that, the first one, whatever it is coming up, copy this, go to that link. Okay, let us do a copy of this bit. Here, if you copy this bit, then if you want, you can keep it here. Since I have created a separate resource, you can create another file called as KV. Okay, the file extension should be .tf. Okay, so let us rename it. Okay, it has renamed it. Let us copy this. I will say KV here. Okay, so I will say beginner academy KV. This name should be unique. Okay, I'm hoping no one else could have created this bit. So similarly, the first RJ, the same RJ I wanted to create my resources. We will use that bit. Okay, the tenant ID. Okay, why exactly we require tenant ID is our resources, where exactly it should reside. Those details we need to pass it out. So we'll copy that. We will paste it here. Sorry, double time. Next bit is the soft delete retention date. Okay, so if you remember in our laptops, right? Any application, if you any softwares or any files, right? If you delete it, it will go and sit it in your recycle bin, right? So these recycle bin, all the data will reside here. Okay, so in our key vault case, it is the same case exactly. Okay, so what will happen is when you accidentally someone deletes your Azure Key Vault. Okay, so at that time, what will happen is our key vault will be it will be deleted softly, meaning our key vault will be kept it in a kind of a recycle bin. Okay, how many days? By default, it is starts from the 7 days. So key vault will be having all the secrets and all the stuff, right? So accidentally or some hacker comes and deletes it off, right? So you don't want to lose all the secrets, right? It is hard to get it. You need to go and reset whatever secret it has been kept. So for that reason, what you need to do is, what Microsoft gives is a default of a 7 days. So automatically your key vault, once you delete it, it will go and sit in a kind of a recycle bin of our Azure cloud. Okay, and it will be there for a 7 days. The minimum is 7 days. Okay, so during that period, if you realize, okay, someone has deleted the key vault, you can go back and retrieve it back. Okay, and there is another option in the key vault. It is purge protection enabled. Okay, meaning currently it has been set as a false, because if I make it as true, after deletion of a Azure key vault, which is residing in a recycle bin, right? For 7 days, I won't be able to delete or empty from my recycle bin as well. Okay, that is the bit, because if you think that you're in a production and all, okay, so someone has deleted it and has gone and emptied your recycle bin as well. Okay, in that case, you will be losing your all the data. Okay, in the production case, you don't want to do that. So that is the reason you enable purge protection. So currently this is a demo. I have made it as a false. I want, because I will be creating multiple time and I will be deleting it off multiple time. That is the reason. Okay, so in a production we will make it as a true, so that until 7 days even you can't empty your recycle bin. That is a concept. Okay, so here there are SKU name. Currently we have in Azure Key Vault standard and a premium. Premium is a one which you require a high customer managed encryption, as well as there are extra features are there in order to the keys are managed by a HSM, hardware security model. Okay, so here we will go for a standard one for This is only for our demo purpose, right? So now let us see our AKS cluster. So if you could see, our AKS cluster has been created. Okay, so we'll go to Azure portal. We'll go and see here. If I do a refresh here, our AKS cluster is up and running. Okay, so now in parallel, right? Parallel, let us run our Azure Key Vault as well. So let it create in the background. Okay, so I will say apply again. Okay, so now it should show us two things. That is, sorry, one thing. Azure Key Vault, it is supposed to create it. One to add, if you could see, our Azure Key Vault, it is supposed to add. So let us go and add it. Let it run. Okay. So it will take probably 2 minutes. Okay, let it run in the background. So what we will do is now, this is our AKS cluster. It has been created. As you could see, our node pools, the node pool name we have given it as a BA. If you see here, click on that, click on the nodes, you would be able to see AKS BA. Okay, pick this part. Okay, I'll duplicate my session. Okay, and I'll type MS VMSS, stand for a VM scale set. Here, if you see, it is the same name. Okay, extra bit is there, but it is the same name. So in this particular virtual machine scale set, if you go to instances, you would be able to see our virtual machine scale set instance. This is the one, it is showing it here. Okay, the nodes as a node. Okay, so now here, in order to connect, how exactly you can connect to your AKS cluster. For that, here we have a connect button. Click on that. Okay, so usually in our work, right, we will be working on with minimum 20 to 30 subscriptions. Okay, so that is the reason whichever our subscription, whichever AKS cluster which we wanted to connect, right? First, we need to set our account to that particular subscription. That is what we will achieve it using clicking on this button. Okay. Still it is creating. I will go to another window. Okay. So here you will say Azure account set. Okay, subscription. This is my Beginner Academy subscription that I wanted to set it. Okay. So if you go here, okay, why it is complaining? Second. Error, current working directory cannot access parent directories. Looks like folders and all could have deleted it. So let me create it here itself. Okay, that is the reason it could have gone give a error. Let me set it over here. So we have set our subscription to our Beginner Academy now. Okay, now we need to connect to our AKS cluster. Copy this bit. Okay, connect to here. Okay, so what it does is easy stand for Azure. Okay, prerequisite for in order to run this particular commands is you need to install your Azure CLI on your laptop. That is a prerequisite. Okay, AKS is our Kubernetes cluster. So I am saying get credentials. Okay, resource group is WordPress site 1. Okay, hyphen name. Okay, this is hyphen resource group is which is our resource group. Hyphen name is name of our AKS cluster. In this case, demo hyphen AKS1. So what you will do is you wanted to log in, or if you wanted to get a credential for a admin, then you will say hyphen admin. So now just press enter. If you see what it did was it downloaded the admin credentials from AKS and merge it to our existing config file. Okay. Another one thing to remember in any Kubernetes cluster, okay, how Kubernetes cluster works is all the configuration, the certificate or authentication and authorization related bit of a Kubernetes, it downloads it and keeps it in a folder. If you are running it from your laptop, in your laptop it will create a .cube folder and a config file. Okay, I could have opened it out, but this contains a Kubernetes credentials. I don't want to show it in a public video. Yeah. So this contains our config files. You can refer it out in your Minikube cluster also. Minikube cluster entry also, it will be there itself. Okay. So all the, you can think of it as a, this config file as a store where all the credentials of your Kubernetes cluster. It is irrespective of either it is irrespective of cloud, EKS or GKE or OCI, OKE, whichever cloud it is. It is a Kubernetes configuration file. Okay, in this particular path it will be there. Okay, so now, so with this bit you have connected, you have downloaded the credentials. Okay, so now if I say kubectl get node, okay, if I say get node, this is the same VA node which is this is the same node. Okay, this is the same node it is showing us. Okay, if you see 000 and all, right, so the same node it is. Okay, if you wanted to check further, say I wanted to check the IP address as well, you say minus o stand for a output, wide stand for a a wide kind of a thing. Okay, extra attributes. Okay, so here if you see internal IP of our node is this bit. Okay, so if you type it here, if you search it, you can find out that IP, the same IP. Okay, so now we got our node stuff. Okay, so now let us go and as a next step, right, we wanted to test the same our in order to find it out our Kubernetes cluster has been deployed properly or not. Okay, in that case what we will do is we have to test some kind of application. For that, what you could do is go to kubernetes.io. Okay, just click on documentation, click on cheat sheet. Okay, click on here. Okay, you should be able to find all the Kubernetes command line documentation. Okay, so if you wanted to run a container, okay, so if you see here, this is all the commands. So let me go and get a command for you. Second. Otherwise I can type it out. Okay, let me type it out rather than, you can search it out. It should be there. The currently there is some issue with here. Second. You can find all the commands over here. Yeah, here you go. So this is what it is. Okay, if you wanted to type it out, so just pick the name. Okay, I'll say kubectl run nginx. Nginx, this is the name of your pod. I will say BA. Okay, image name is nginx. That is what I am planning to do. Planning to use it. If you go further, kubectl get pod, you'll be able to see our pod is up and running. Okay, this is on a Kubernetes. We have tested it. Our Kubernetes cluster is working fine. Okay, so now next bit is our Azure pipeline. Okay, how exactly you can integrate the same application using, first thing is we have to run this particular application via pipeline. That is the infra as a code. We need to run it and deploy our AKS cluster. Okay, that's the first part of it. Then thereafter we have we should have another pipeline which will go and deploy our 3-tier architecture. Okay, so now we have certified that our Kubernetes is working fine. Okay, so now couple of things we may need to do it. So let us go and check out our key vault is up and running. Yeah, so if you see here, key vault, it has been created. Okay, So if I go back here, so why do we need a key vault? Okay, in order to set up our application, right, we require a couple of resources at any cost. Key vault being a one where we keep our storage, keep our secrets. Okay, in our case, what we will be doing is uh, the container registry. In order to create, if you go to Docker, right? So let me show that diagram. Okay, yeah. So what we will be doing here is we have to build our image. Okay, our AKS cluster is up and running. We have to build our application image, push it to ACR. Okay, let me see the ACR. 1 second. Yeah, this is what it is. 1 second. Yeah. So what we will be doing here is this is what we need to achieve. Okay. We need to build our Docker file. Okay, and create our Docker image. That is our Java application, Spring Boot application, and then whatever we have built it earlier in the earlier sessions, that we need to push to our ACR. Okay, so rather than using a Docker Hub, we needed a container registry. Okay, so here we'll push it. We have created our Kubernetes cluster. In order to create our pod, right, what we will be doing is we will be, rather than a Docker Hub, we will be pulling it from our Azure container registry and deploying it in a EKS cluster. So in this example, we wanted to achieve it. For that, we had created a Kubernetes cluster. So ACR also we require it. Okay. Apart from that, we require a KV and a storage, Azure storage. Okay, Azure storage in order to store the credentials. Store the files and all those bit. Azure Key Vault is to store the secrets. So in our case, we are deploying a MySQL. So MySQL should have our MySQL has a username and root password, right? So those all the things we will be keeping it in the KV, as well as the credentials for our Azure container registry. That also we will be keeping it in a Azure Key Vault itself. Okay. Once these things are in place, right, as an infrastructure as a code, what we'll be doing is we will be running the pipeline. We'll be performing these activities via Azure pipeline, Azure DevOps pipeline. Okay, so we would require Azure Container Registry itself, registry as well. So let us go and create that as well. Okay, so let our Kubernetes be it will be keep on running. So let us go back and see our key vault is up and running. Okay, so we'll see our key vault. This is what we have created it. It is up and running. Okay, so we don't have, okay, I don't have access. Okay, so if I don't have access, what I will do is click on access policy. I will say create, select all. Okay, I will say beginner academy. Will give myself as a access. So yes, I have a complete access. So if you see, I don't have any secret or certificate. Okay. So now the example which we took, right? This example, we would require Azure Container Registry as well. So let us introduce that one as well. Okay. So in order to search it out, just say container registries. If you see, we don't have any. Okay. So let us create one container registry. We will say that we Terraform, let it be there. Terraform Azure Container Registry. Okay. So click on this. copy this bit. Okay, so we would require only a container registry which has okay, so the basic container registry we require. We don't require a geo replication and all the stuff. So that we will come back to a bit later. So let me use the sangam.tf itself. Let me create it here itself. So as usual, the same thing, same name, we'll take it. Geo replication and geo replications, we don't require it. Here it is trying to do it in the two places. Okay, so the SKU, we don't require a premium. We will go for the basic one. Okay, so SKU, the basic standard one. Okay, the SKU. So if you search it, we have a basic, standard, and premium. Basic should suffice for us. Okay, so let us go for a standard one, in between one. Okay. Okay. So and then we will use admin NS. So whether admin user is enabled. So let us have this as well. Admin, it was already there. I am enabling it as a true. Okay. So now we are creating a, I will say BA BA ACR. Okay. So Beginner Academy ACR. ACR stands for Azure Container Registry, where we keep all our Docker images. So now we'll go and run the Terraform apply again. It may take a couple of minutes. We'll say yes. Okay, looks like this is a unique one. Globally unique isn't available. So that is, yeah, someone has already used it. So we will say the KV name itself. Okay, say Beginner Academy ACR. I hope no one should have used it. We'll see that. Some in Azure world, some of the resources we have a global requirement. Okay, for example, KV as well, right? Key vault, the name should be unique. Okay, because it has to be accessed via it is a subdomain. Okay, so it has to be accessed via over the internet, right? The URL. So that is the reason they want you to have it's a unique globally. So it should be pretty quick. We'll see. We'll give a minute. What all the things we have learned, it is basically okay. Apply is completed. Okay, so go to Azure Container Registry. We have created a container registry over here. Okay, so here if you could see, we have repositories. Okay, currently we don't have any repositories. Okay, let me run Docker as well. Mine Docker. Okay, so we don't have any repositories. Okay, so in order to connect to this Beginner Academy ACR, right, Azure Container Registry, we should have a concept. We have a concept called as a token over here. Okay, click on token, click on add. Okay, just give a name. I will say be a user. Okay, so the access for this particular user, what we are giving is a admin user. Okay, I'll say create. So if you see, it has created a user for us. Okay, click on that. Okay, so the password you need to generate it. Okay, the path. I will say click on that. I don't want to put expiry period. I will say generate. Okay, it has generated a password for us. Okay, here if you see, it has created a command in order to log into this particular container registry. We'll copy that. Okay, so if I go here, Docker images, I will say image list. Okay, we have beginner academy 20th May. Okay, so this bit we have already have it. Okay, so what we would like to do here is we will enter the command which we have copied it here. Okay, this is to in order to log into our container registry. One second. This is to log into our container registry. Okay, I will click on this bit. So it says login to succeed, meaning from my laptop I am connecting to Azure Container Registry. Okay, that is successful now. Okay, so now if you go here, go to overview. So here we will be able to see the URL of our ACR. Okay, so now copy this URL. We require that. Okay, image list. Now what we wanted to do is this, we wanted to push it to our newly created container registry. How you do it? First, what we do is we have to tag this particular URL. Okay, this particular image. Okay, I'll say Docker tag. Okay, I'll put a name as I'll say Spring. Okay, Spring 1.0. Okay, so I need to tag this image ID. Say tagging and the center. Okay, so if I do an image list, our beginner academy ACR Spring 1.0 image has been tagged. It's the same image. Okay, now let us go and push it to our Docker ACR. Sorry, our ACR, EKS Azure Container Registry. Okay, Docker push. Okay, so we'll say we'll copy the same bit here. Put it here. Just say push. So now this particular image which is available in my laptop will be pushed to Azure Container Registry. It is the same case of our previous sessions which we done to push it to a Docker Hub registry, right? It's a similar case. Now, in order to in our actual project, right, rather than using Docker Hub, which is a public one, so our customer don't want to keep their image which has a complete code, right? They don't want to push it to a Docker Hub. So that is the reason we try to keep it in their ACR. There's inside the Azure Container Registry, which is there in their control. No one has access to that. Okay. Now, if you see, it has been pushed. If I go back to here, repositories, you will see our Spring came into picture. This is the 1.0, what we have tagged. So if you could see here, this is this particular image, it has been pushed now. Okay. So now we wanted to use this particular image. Okay. So before using this particular image in our newly created Kubernetes cluster, there are few of the things we need to do it. Okay. That is the access token, right? So we had created this access token. 1 second. Programmatically, we need to access these tokens via our pipeline, right? So how you do that? We have a key vault. Okay. So let us go to secret and create these credentials. Okay. So I can go and create it like this. I'll say ACR username. Okay. And put a secret over here and create it here. Okay. But it is not a proper way of doing it, right? This is not a infra as a code, right? So how you do that? It is basically via Terraform. We'll delete this opt, nothing is there. Okay, so go to Terraform. Okay, so Azure Terraform, just type Azure key vault, Azure key secret. So that should come up with this bit. Okay, so here what we could do is copy this bit. Okay, go inside our KV. Let us create these users. Okay, there is another way is also there. Okay, so I will say what is that? I will say it is ACR underscore username. Okay, the value either you can hard code it, okay, or we'll point to here first. First we'll correct the errors. So yeah, the value you can hard code it, or you can refer it from our this container registry. So we will refer it from our container registry. We'll say container registry ACR dot, I will say you can select our admin admin username. Okay, it should copy our admin username, or what we could even say is second, there is another way of doing it. We can Azure container registry. There is a scope map, we will create it. Okay, so our scope map. Okay, so in our case, we'll say scope map. We'll modify this. I understand we are running out of time, but yeah, it should be fine. We should be able to sort it out. Okay, how much it is possible, we'll do this. Okay, so if you see here, we are giving the name. Okay, I will say Spring. Okay, so our map, what we are doing is our repository. Okay, so our repository is, if you go back to our repository, which is container registry repository, that is Spring. Okay, copy this bit and copy here, paste it here, repositories. So we'll create a scope map. Okay, and then what we'll do is we will create a user, the tokens which we created, right? That bit we will do it via programmatically rather than manual. Okay, so we'll add it here. Container registry mapping, first map. Okay, the scope map is our scope map here. We'll point to here. Okay, this is our token. Programmatically we wanted to do it. Okay, I will say BA token. Okay, so here what we'll be doing is our KV, instead of the token, okay, this token we wanted to keep it in a KV. Okay, we'll see there is a no manual thing is required. Okay, I will pick the name from here. Okay, so what it does is, if I click on this token, it would take me here. The token, it will create it programmatically in our registry. Okay, that is registry here. I'll close this bit. The tokens, this token is used for authentication rather than this. If you remember, I had created it manually. I wanted it to be via Terraform. Okay, so that is the reason we have created this scope map. Okay, then we have created a user. Okay, BA token is nothing but a user. Okay, so now let us run this bit. So I'm in the same command. Okay, I'll say apply. If you wanted to validate before running it, you can run Terraform validate. So if you see, it gave me a problem. KV line number 15. KV line number 15. Okay, this is the name of a. Okay, so KV, I will say this is our token. I will say ACR. ACR underscore. It doesn't expect a underscore is not a valid name. Okay, that is the reason it gave me error. Alphanumeric. The name can be alphanumeric characters and dashes. Okay, that is the reason it gave me error. You see, Terraform validate configuration is fine. Okay, now I will do Terraform apply. Probably in the next week we can continue the end-to-end via pipeline because we have 9 minutes. We have to recap as well. Okay, so let us go here. Terraform apply. So it has to create a token as well as a key vault. The token it has to go and keep it in our Azure key vault so that it can refer it. So if you could see here, it is creating a scope map. Okay, and then it is creating a token. Then it is creating a Azure key vault secret. Okay, we'll see. We'll say yes. It is planning to add 3. Okay. It may take a couple of seconds. We'll see that. So we don't require a Docker. We'll quit it. Okay, so creation complete scope map. Our token is creating creation complete. Okay, all the 3 things are completed. Okay, so first what we will do is we will go and see our tokens here. If I do a refresh here, if you see the BA token, it has created. Okay, the scope map is this button. Okay, if I click on here, it says our Spring repository 2 permission we have selected. That is a content read and content write. If you wanted to add a metadata read or if you wanted to do select all the details you need to provide it. Okay, so now this scope has a access to our Spring repo. Okay, so the password, right, the username, this is our BA token is a username. Okay, now if I go back to our key vault, if you see our secret, nothing is there, right? No, there are no secrets available. Okay, if I do a refresh now, you would be able to see ACR username. Okay, if I go back here and check it here, if I do a show secret here, the BA token. Okay, the BA token is a name of your token. So if I do Control F, this is what it is. Okay, in this way, the complete all the username and all those bit, everything you can code it as a intra as a code. Okay, so if you see what all the things we have learned, so if I go back to our beginner academy, okay, if I go to the resource book, okay, so if I see here what all the things we have created a Azure container registry where we are storing our images. Okay, we have created a Azure key vault, okay, where we are storing our key vault and keeping a secret the username inside this one. Okay, then we have created our Kubernetes AKS cluster. Okay, these all the things we have done it. These 3 services we have done it all complete via Terraform. Okay, so what I will do is now the next pipeline bit. Okay, rather than doing it in one shot. Okay, in the next class we will do it on the next session. We will do it on the pipeline, Azure pipeline. Okay, so if you guys have any questions, right, you can join our session, I mean our question, interactive question and answer session now. Okay, and then you can ask any questions if you have. Okay,